Not until October, he said. I nodded. I wondered why he was curious about my age, and it made me wonder what he thought about 15-year-old. Did he look at me like I was just a little kid, like a little sister? I was almost 16 and 2.5 years apart in age. Isn't that bad? Maybe when two people are 15 and 18, it might seem a little too apart, but once I turn 16, I bet now no one would even think twice about a 2.5 year age difference. I need to tell you something, he said. I held my breath, not knowing what he was going to say. I got in touch with my uncle today. My mom and I used to live with him in Boston. He told me once he get back from his work trip, I can stay with him. I should have been so happy for him in that moment. I should have smiled and told him congratulations, but I felt all of the immaturity of my age when I closed my eyes and felt sorry for myself. Are you going? I asked. He struggled. I don't know. I wanted to talk to you about it first. He was so close to me on the bed. I could feel the warmth of his breath. I also noticed he smelled like mint, and it made me wonder if he used bottle water to brush his teeth before he comes over here. I always send him home every day with lot of water. I brought my hand up the pillow and started pulling at a feather sticking out of it. When I got it all the way out, I twisted it between my finger. I don't know what to say. At last, I am happy you have a place to stay, but what about school? I could finish down there, he said. I nodded. It sounded like he already made up his mind. When are you leaving? I wondered how far away Boston is. It's probably a few hours, but that's a whole world away when you don't own a car. I don't know for sure that I am. I dropped the feather back onto the pillow and bowed my head hand to my side. What's stopping you? Your uncle is offering you a place to stay. That's good, right? He tightened his lips together and nodded. Then he picked up the feather I'd been playing with and he started twisting it between his fingers. He laid it back down on the pillow and then he did something I wasn't expecting. He moved his finger to my lip and he touched them. Good, Ellen, I thought I was gonna die right then and there. It was the most I'd ever felt inside my body. At one time, I kept his finger there for a few seconds and he said, "Thank you, Lily, for everything." He moved his finger up and through my hair and then he leaned forward and planted a kiss on my forehead. I was breathing so hard I had to open my mouth to catch more air. I could see his chest moving, but as hard as mine was, looked down at me and I watched as his eyes right into my mouth. Have you ever been kissed, Lily? I shook my head and no and tilted my face up to his because I needed him to change that then and there or I wasn't going to be able to breathe. Then, almost as I were made to exhale, he lowered his mouth to mine and just rested it there. I didn't know what to do next, but didn't care. I didn't care if we just stayed like that all night and never even more moved our month if it was everything. His lips closed over mine and I could kind of feel his hand shaking. I did what he was doing and started to move my lip like he was. I felt the tip of his tongue brush across my lips once, and I thought my eyes were about to roll back in my head. He did it again and then a third time. So I finally did it to when our tongues touched for the first time. I kind of smiled a little because I had thought about my first kiss a lot, where it could be, who it would be with never in a million did I imagine it would life feel like this. He pushed me on my back and pressed his hand against my cheek and kept kissing me. I just got better and better as I grew more comfortable. My favorite moment was the pulled back for a second and looked down at me, then came back ever harder. I don't know how long we kissed, a long time, so long my mouth started to hurt and my eyes couldn't stay open when we fell asleep. I'm pretty sure his mouth was still touching mine. He didn't talk about Boston again. I still do not know he is leaving Lily. Dear Ellen, he need to apologize to you. It's been be a week since I've written to you and a week since I'll watch your show. Do not worry, I still recorded you so you get the rating, but every day we get off the bus, Atlas takes a quick shower and then we make out. Every day it's awesome. I don't know it is about him, but I feel so comfortable with him. He is so sweet and thoughtful. He never does anything I do not feel comfortable with. But so far, he hasn't tried everything I do not feel comfortable with. I'm not sure how much I should divulge here since you and I have never met in person. But let me just say that if he is ever wondered that my boobs feel like how now he know I can for the like of me figures out how people function from day to day when they like someone is much. If it is were up to me, we would kiss all day and all night and do and nothing in between, expect maybe talk a little. He tell funny stories. I love it when he is in a talkative mood because it doesn't happen every very often, but he uses his hands a lot. He smiles a lot too, and I love his smile even more than I love his kiss. And sometimes I just tell him to shut up and stop smiling or kissing or talking so I can stare at him. I like looking at his eyes. They are so blue that he could be standing across the room and a person could tell how blue his every eyes were. The only thing I do not like about kissing him sometimes is when he closes his eyes, and now we still haven't talked about Boston Lily. Dear Ellen, yesterday afternoon when we were riding the bus, Atlas kissed me. It wasn't anything me new to us because we had kissed a lot of this point, but it's the first time we ever did it in public. Where we were together, everything else just seems to fade away, so I do not think he even thought about other people noticing. But Katy noticed. She was sitting in the seat behind us, and I heard her say gross as soon as they leaned over and kissed me. She was talking to the girl next her when she said, I cannot believe Lily lets him touch her. He wears the same clothes of almost every day. Ellen, I was so mad. I also felt a fool for Atlas. He pulled away from me and I could tell that he said bothered him. I started to turn around to yell at her and judging someone she doesn't even know. But he grabbed my hand and shook his head. No, do not, Lily, he said. So I didn't. But for the rest of the bus ride, I was so angry. I was angry that Katy would say something is so ignorant just to hurt someone she thought was beneath. And I was also hurt that Atlas appeared to him. He used to comment like that. I didn't want to him to think I was embarrassed at anyone, so him kiss me. I know at least better than any of them do, and I know what a good person he is, no matter what his clothes look like or that he used to smell before he started using my shower. I leaned over and kissed him on the cheek and then rested my head on his shoulder. You know what I said to him? He slid his finger through mine and squeezed my hand. What? You are my favorite person. I felt him laugh a little and it made my smile. Out of how many people he asked, all of them. He kissed the top of my head and said, You are my favorite person, Tom Lily, by a long shot. When the bus came to the stop on my street, he didn't let go of my hand when we started to walk off. He was in front of me in the aisle and I was walking behind him, so he didn't see it when I turned around and flipped off Katie. I probably shouldn't have done it, but the look on her face made it worth it. When we got to my house, he took the house key out of my hand and unlocked my front door. It was weird seeing how comfortable he is at my house now. He walked in and locked the door behind us. That's when we noticed the electricity in the house wasn't working. I looked out the window and saw a utility truck down the street working on the power lines. Oh, that meant we couldn't watch your show. I wasn't too upset because it meant we would probably just make out for an hour and a half. Does your oven run off a gas or electricity? He asked. Gas, I said, a little confused that he was asking about our oven. He kicked off his shoes, which were really just a pair of my father's old shoes. And he started walking toward the kitchen. I am going to make you something, he said. You know how to cook. He opened the refrigerator and started moving things around. Yep, I probably love to cook as much as you love to grow things. He took a few things out of a refrigerator and preheated and oven. I leaned against the counter and watched him. He wasn't even looking at a recipe. He was just pouring things into a bowl and mixing them without even using a measuring cup. I had never seen my father lift a finger in my kitchen. I am pretty sure he wouldn't even know how to preheat our oven. I kind of thought most men were like that, but watching elders work his way around my kitchen proved me wrong. What are you making? I asked him. I pushed my hands on the island and hoisted myself onto it. Cookies, he said. He walked the bowl over to me and stuck a spoon in the mixture. He brought the spoon up to my mouth and I tasted it. One of the weakness it cookie took, and this was the best I'd ever tasted. How wow, I said, licking my lips. He set the bowl down beside me and then he laid in the kiss me cookie dough and Atlas bulled the Atlas mouth mixed together to like heaven. In case you are wondering, I made a noise deep in my throat. The let him know how much I like the combination, and it made him laugh. How, but he didn't stop kissing me. He just laughed through the kiss, and it completely melted my heart. A happy Atlas was never mind blowing. It made me want to uncover every single thing about this word that he likes and give it all to him. When he was kissing me, I wondered if I love him. I never had a boyfriend before and have nothing to compare my feeling to him. In fact, I never really wanted to a boyfriend or a relationship until at least I am not growing up in a household with a great example of how a man should treat someone he loves. So I'll be always held on to an unhealthy amount of distrust when it comes to relationship and other people. There have been times I will wondered if I could ever allow myself to trust a guy. For the most part I hate men because the only example I have is my father, but spending all this time with Atlas is changing me, not in a huge way. I didn't think I still distrust most people, but is Atlas changing in the enough to believe that maybe he is an expectation to Norm. He stopped kissing me and picked up the bowl again. He walked it over the opposite counter and started spooning doubt into two cookie sheet. You want to know a trick to cooking? The cooking with gas, even the he asked. I'm not sure I really ever cared about cooking before, but he somehow made me want to know everything he knew. It might have been how happy he looked when he talked about it. Gas once have lot sports, he said as he opened the oven door and put the cookie sheets inside. You have a show to be sure and rotate the pan so they'll cook evenly. He closed the door and pulled the oven mitt of his hand. I tossed it on the counter. I pizza stone helps too. If you just keep it in the oven, even when you aren't baking pizza, it helps eliminate the hot spot. He walked over to me and placed his hand on either side to me, and the electricity kicked on the right as he was pulling down the collar of my shirt. He kissed the spot of my shoulder. He always loves kissing, and slowly slid his hands up my back. I swear, sometimes when he was not here, I can still feel his lips on my collarbone. He was about to kiss me on the mouth when we heard a car pull my driveway, into the driveway, and the garage door started to open. I jumped off the island, looking around the kitchen frantically. His hand went up to my cheeks, and he made me look at him. Keep an eye on the cookies and we finish in about 20 minutes. He pressed his lips to mine and he released me, rushing to the living room to grab his backpack. He made it out the back door right when I heard the engine to my father's car shut off. They started gathering all the ingredient together when my father walked into the kitchen from the garage. He looked around then saw the light on it, the oven. Are you cooking? He asked. I nodded because my heart was beating so fast. I was scared. We hear some trembling in my voice. I responded out of loud. I scrubbed. For a moment, at a spot on the counter that was perfectly clean, I cleared my throat and said, "Cookies. I am baking cookies." He set his briefcase down on the kitchen table and then walked to the refrigerator and pulled out a beer. The electricity has been out. I said I was bored, so I decided to bake. While I waited for it to come back on, my father sat down at the table and spent the next 10 minutes asking me questions about school and if I thought about going to college occasionally. And it was just the two of us. I saw glimpses on how a normal relationship with a father could be, sitting at the kitchen table with him discussing colleges and career choices and high school. As much as I hated him most of the times, I still longed for more of these moments with him. If I could just always be the guy he was capable of being in these moment. Things could be so much different for all of us. I rotated the cookies like Atlas had said to do, and when they were finished, I pulled them out of the oven. I took one of the cookie sheet and handed it to my father. I hated that I was being nice to him. It almost felt like I was wasting one of the endless cookies. Wow, my father said, these are the greatest, Lily. I'll force a thank you. Even thought I would make them. I could very well tell him that in a thought. They are for school, so you can only have one. I lie. I waited until the rest of them cold, and then I pulled them in a Tupperware container and took them to my room. I didn't even want to try one without Chandler, so I waited until later last night when he came over. You should have tried one when they were hot. He said that's where they are the best. I didn't want to eat them without you. I said we sat on the bed with our back against the wall, proceeded to eat half the bowl of cookies. I told him they were delicious, but failed to tell him they were by far the greatest cookies I'd ever eaten. I want to inflate his ego. I kind of liked how humble he was. I tried to grab at another once, but he pulled the bowl away and the put the lid back on it. If you eat too many, you'll make yourself sick, and you don't like my cookies anymore. I love impossible. He took a drink of water and then stood up facing the bed. I made you something, he said, reaching into his pocket. More cookies, I asked. He smiled and shook his head, then held out his fist. I lifted my hand and he dropped something hard in the palm of my hand. It was a small flat outline of my heart, about 2 inches long, carved out of wood. I rubbed my thumb over it, trying not to smile too big. I wasn't anatomically correct hurt, but it also didn't look like the hand drawn hurt. It was uneven and hollow in the middle. You made this? I asked, looking up at him. He nodded. I carved it with an old whittling knife I found at the house. The end of my heart weren't connected, they just curved into a little, leaving a little space at the top of my heart. I didn't even know what to say. I felt him sit back down on the bed, but I couldn't stop looking at him long enough to even thank him. I carved it out of a branch, he said, whispering, from the oak tree in your backyard. I swear, Ellen, I never thought I could love something so much. Or maybe what I was feeling wasn't for the gift, but for him. I closed my fist around the heart and then leaned over and kissed him so hard he fell back onto the bed. I threw my leg over him. And straddled him, and he grabbed my waist and grinned against my mouth. I'm gonna carve you a damn house out of that oak tree. This is the reward I get, he whispered. I laugh. You have to stop being so perfect. I told him you are already my favorite person, but now you are making it really unfair to all the other humans because no one will ever be able to catch up to you. He brought his hand to the back of my head and rolled me until I was on my back and he was the one of the then. My plan is working, he said right before kissing me again. I held on to on to the hurt while he is wanting to believe it was a gift for no reason at all, but part of me was scared it was a gift to remember him. Remember him by the when he leaves for Boston. I didn't want to remember him. If I had to remember him, it would mean he wasn't a part of my life anymore. I didn't want him to move to Boston, Ellen. I know that's selfish of me because he cannot keep living in the house. I didn't know, but I'm more afraid might happen watching him leave or selfishly begging him not to go. I know we need to talk about it. I'll ask him about Boston tonight when he comes, or I just didn't want to ask him last night because it was a really perfect day. Lily, dear Ellen, just keep swimming. He's moving to Boston. I do not really like the talking about to Lily. Dear Ellen, this is going to be a big one of my mother to hide. My father is usually pretty con- cognizant, cognizant of hitting her where it would not leave a visible bruise. And the last thing we probably want is for people in the town to know what he does her, what he does to her. I'll be seen him kick her a few times, choke her, hit her on the back and the stomach, pull her hair, and few times he is hit her on the face. It's always just been a slap, so the mark wouldn't stay for long. But never have I seen him to do what he did last night. It was really late when they got home. It was a weekend, so he and my mom went to some community function. My father has a real estate company and he is also the town mayor, so they have to do things in the public a lot, like go to charity dinners, which is ironic since my father hates charities, but I guess he has to save a face. Atlas was already in my room when they got home. I could hear them fighting as soon as they walked through the front door, and a lot of the conversation was muffled, but for the most part it sounded like my father was accusing her of flirting with some man. Now I know my mother Ellen, she would never do something like that. If anything, a guy probably look at her and then heat made father jealous. My mother is really beautiful. He heard him call her a was, and then he heard the first blow. I started to climb out of my bed, but Atlas pulled me back and told me not to go in there, that I might get hurt. I told him I actually help sometimes, that when I go in there, my father backs off. Atlas tried to talk me out of it, but finally I got up and went out into the living room. Ellen, he was on the top of her. They were on the couch and had his hand around her throat, but its other hand was pulling up her dress. She was trying to fight him off, and I just stood there frozen, and she kept begging him to get off her. And then he hit her right across the face and told her to shut up. I'll never forget his word when he said, "You want attention? I'll give you some fucking attention." That then that's when she got real still and stopped fighting him. I heard her crying, and then she said, "Please be quiet, Lily is here." She said, "Please be quiet." Please be quiet while you rape me, dear Alan. I didn't know one human was capable of feeling so much hate inside one heart, and I am not even taking about my father, I am taking about me. I walked straight to the kitchen and I opened a drawer. I grabbed the biggest knife I could find. I don't know how to explain. It was like just I wasn't even in my own body. I could see myself walking across the kitchen with the knife in my hand, and I knew wasn't going to use. I just wanted something bigger than myself that could scare him away for her. But right before I made it out of the kitchen, two arms went around my waist and picked me up from behind. I dropped the knife and my father didn't hear, but my mother we did. We locked eyes. The Atlas carried me back to my bedroom. When we were back inside my room, I just started hitting him in the chest, trying to get back out of there to her. I was crying and doing everything I could to get him out of my way. But he wouldn't move. He just wrapped his arm around me and he said, "Lily, calm down." He kept saying it over and over, and he held me there for a long time until I accepted that he wasn't gonna let me go back out there. He wasn't gonna let me have that knife. He walked over to the bed and grabbed his jacket and started putting on his shoes. "Well, go next door," he said. "We'll call the police." The police? My mother had warned me not to call police in the past. He said I couldn't jeopardize my father's career, but in the honesty, I didn't care at that point. I didn't care that he was the mayor of that everyone who loved him. I don't know the full side of him. The only thing I cared about was helping my mother, so I pulled on my jacket and went to go closet for a pair of shoes. When I stepped out of my closet, Atlas was starting to at my bedroom door. It was opening. My mother stepped inside and quickly shut it, locking it behind her. I'll never forget what she looked like. She had blood coming down from her lip. Her eye was already starting to swell, and she had a clump of hair just resting on her shoulder. She looked at Atlas and then me. I didn't even take a moment to feel scared that she caught me in my room with a boy. I didn't care about that. I was just worried about her. I walked over to her and grabbed her hand and walked her to bed. I brushed the hair off her shoulder and then for her forehead. "He's gonna go call the police, Moms." "Okay." Her eyes grew really wide and then she started shaking her head. "No," she said. She looking over at Atlas and said, "You cannot know." He was already at the window about to leave, so he stopped and looked at me. "He is drunk, Lily," he said. "He had your door shut, so he went to your bedroom." He stopped. "If you call the police, I'll just make it worse. Believe me, just let him sleep off. I'll be better tomorrow." I shook my head and could feel the tears stinging my eyes. "Mom, he was trying to rape you." She ducked her head and winced when I said that. She shook her head again and said, "It is not like that, Lily. We are married, and sometimes is just you are too young to understand it." I got really quiet for a minute and then I said, "I hope to hell I'll never do that." When she started to cry, she just held her head in her hand and she started to sob, and all I could do was wrap my arms around her and cry with her. I'd never seen her this upset for this hurt or this scared. It broke my heart, Ellen. It broke me. When she was finished crying, I looked around the room and Atlas had left. We went to the kitchen and I helped her clean up her lip and her eyes. She never did say anything about him being where, not one thing. I waited for her to tell me I was grounded, but she never did realize that maybe I didn't acknowledge it because that's what she does. Thing that hurt her just get swept under the rug, never to be brought up again. Lily, dear Alan, I am thinking I am ready to talk about Boston now. He left today. I'll be shuffled my deck of cards so many times. My hands hurts. I'm scared if I do not get out how I feel on paper. I'll go crazy holding it all it. Our last night didn't go over so well. We kissed a lot at first, but we were both too scared to really care about it for the second time. In 2 days, he told me in changed his mind and that he wasn't leaving. He didn't want to leave me alone in the house. But we lived with these parents for almost 16 years. It was silly of him so turned down at home in favor of being homeless just because of me. We both knew that, but it still hurt. I tried to not be so sad about it. So when we were lying there, I asked him to tell me about Boston. I told him maybe one day when I got out of there of school, I could go there. He got this look in his eye when he started talking about it. A look I'd never seen, sort of like he was talking about heaven. He told me about how everyone has the greatest assets. That instead of cars, they say he must not realize that he sometimes say it is like that too. He said he lived there from the ages of 9 until he was 14, and so I guess maybe he picked up a little bit of the accent. He told me about how his uncle lives in an apartment building with the coolest rooftop deck. A lot of apartments have them. He said some even have pools. Plethora, many probably. I didn't even have a building that was tall enough for a rooftop deck. I wondered what it would feel like just to be at high up. I asked him if he never went up there, and he said yes. That when he was younger, sometimes he would go to the room and just sit up there and think while he looked out of over the city. He told me about the food I already knew. He liked to cook, but I had no idea how much passion he had for it. I guess because he doesn't have a stove or a kitchen. So, other than the cookies he baked, he's never really talked about cooking before. He told me about the harbor and how before his mother remarried and she used to take him finish out of there. I mean, Boston isn't any different from any other big city. I guess he said there is not a lot that when makes it stand out. It's just I don't know. There's a vibe, a really good energy when people say they live in Boston. They are proud of it. I miss that sometimes. I ran my finger through his hair and said, "Will you make it sound like the best place in the world, like everything is better in Boston?" He looked at me and his eyes were and said when he said everything. It is almost better in Boston. Expect the girl. Boston doesn't have you. Made me blush. He kissed me real sweet. And then I said to him, Boston doesn't have me yet. Someday I'll move there and I'll find you. He made me promise that if I moved to Boston, everything really would be better. There and it would be the best city in the world. We kissed some more and did other thing that I wouldn't bore you with. I thought that's not to say they were boring. They were not, but then this morning I had to tell him goodbye, and he held me and kissed me so much I thought I might die if I let go. But I didn't because let go, and here I am still living, still breathing, just barely Lily. I flipped to my next page but then slammed the book shut. There's only one more entry and do not know that I really feel like reading it now, right now, or ever. I put a journal back in my closet knowing that my chapter with the atlas is over. He is happy now. I am happy now. Time can definitely heal all wounds of least most of them. I turn off my lamp and then pick up my phone and plug it in my. I have two missed text messages from Riley and one from my mother. Riley. He naked truth commencing in third and two. Riley, I was worried that being in a relationship would add to my responsibilities. That's why I'll be avoided them my whole life. We already have enough to my plate and seeing the stress. My parents' marriage seemed to cause them and the failed marriages of some of the friends I wanted to know part in something like that. But after tonight, I realized that maybe a lot of people are just doing it wrong because what's happening between us doesn't feel like a responsibility. It feel like it a reward, and it's fall asleep wondering that I did to deserve it. I pull my phone to my chest and smile. Then I screenshot the text because I'm keeping it forever. I open up the third text message. Mom, a Dr. Lily and your oven business. I want to be your when I grow up. I screenshot that one too.